great morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the It's About You radio show here at WDRB Media, the voice of the community. I'm your host, Maurice McDonald. Each and every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have the privilege to honor the a great opportunity to share some amazing information with you designed to help you be the best person you can possibly be, and also to help to get into your ears and into your mind and hopefully into your legs, help you move to be the great person you were destined to be. I wanted to share something with you this morning, but before it's as always, I always start out with our morning quote of the day. The morning quote of the day is from John C. Maxwell, ladies and gentlemen. John C. Maxwell, the great legendary John C. Maxwell. If you've not heard of him, by all means, go to YouTube and look up one of his books on Google. You can see he's an author, former pastor, leader to the world, so to speak. People all over the world go to his leadership conferences every single year. And I had the privilege of doing that several years ago. But this quote today, it says, learn to say no to the good so you can say yes to the best. Again, learn to say no to the good so you can say yes to the best. You know, a lot of times we say, well, good is good enough. I'm not going to do my best. I'm just, as long as I get about, as long as I can do the basics. No, he says, learn to say no to good. You see, good is the enemy to best. You see, a lot of times giving all you have and sharing all you have, all the knowledge, all the skills, all the desires, putting it all on the line, selling out, as the great Les Brown always says. When he dies, he wants to die empty, giving it all, not leaving. They say the cemetery is the wealthiest place in the world, who people died and didn't give their all. There could have been great cures or great inventions, but they kept it to themselves or didn't believe in themselves, and they just settled for good. But best, learn to say no to good so you can learn to say yes to the best, to bring the best out in you. And that has been your morning quote of the day, brought to you by MauriceMcDonald.net. Go to MauriceMcDonald.net and learn all about your amazing gut health and learn how you get that P84 and that Protandem. You'll learn all about that when you get a chance to go to MauriceMcDonald.net. That's MauriceMcDonald. Guys, I started a series. Last week you heard talking about you belong. Oftentimes people will come and they'll say things like, well, you don't belong here. You shouldn't be doing this. Or you're a woman. No one's ever done it like that. So you should be over here. You should be over there. Always telling you that you don't belong. And why are they telling you? We had a great show last week talking about that. Well, I always love to have amazing guests here. My guest today in the studio is none other than, Bishop Anthony Hall. He's been a leader to me, inspiration to me, like a brother to me now. I mean, he's a former student, but now, listen, he's going on to some greater things. He's pastored several churches, speaking all over the world, authored several books. And I thought he would be a perfect person to talk about this topic with me, about you belong. So with that said, good morning, Bishop Thomas. How you doing?
Man, God is wonderful to me.
Yes.
I feel good, and I'm glad to be with you there.
Man, listen. I said Bishop Thomas. I was thinking about somebody else. I mean, Bishop Hall. However, one of the things because I know I have someone else on my mind here, but count that toward my head and not my heart. But this topic, when I mentioned to you that we were going to talk about you belong, first and foremost, what does the phrase you belong mean to you personally?
Well, number one, I think what it means to me is, number one, I have to take responsibility for my life. And so if I say the quote, you belong, then I have to catch that and make it a personal confirmation or affirmation. And I think because people live too much in the eyes of people and they make decisions for their life based on what people feel. And so if you don't ever get in your mind that I have control of my destiny, then you belong would mean nothing to them.
If so, it's an internal. Sound like you're saying it's some internal work.
Right.
Of,
Because most people, ever since we were kids, I always like to give the analogy or the story about most kids. They, especially boys, when they draw a picture, even though older people think it looks horrible, that little boy take it to his mom. Of course, his mom is going to say that's the best thing she ever seen. So what does that kid do? He goes out and starts doing the same thing, continue. And so the great thing about that is have the affirmation of a mom. The bad thing sometimes is that we go through our life showing something to people, waiting for the affirmation. And when they don't give us the affirmation, then they feel like maybe we're doing something wrong. And so that internal conversation that you have with yourself is the most important thing if you're going to go forward and really come up with a topic that I belong.
Internal.
And then it depends on what they're talking about. I belong to. I am in control of my destiny. That's what I am. I'm in control. I mean, of course, we need the help of God, of course.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, God is not going to help me do something. I hear people talk about God will help those that help themselves, and that's just not true. It's not true in the sense that God is not going to give you something to do if you're not willing to do what He's put in you. And so
Right.
God will work along with you, but He's not going to work for you.
Right. I love that. I love that. So there's some effort that I must have.
Absolutely.
There's some. In other words, if there's seed planted in me, I got to let it grow. I got to water it to make sure it grows. That gift that I may have that was given to me, and not worry about what the peanut gallery is saying.
Yeah.
Listen,
any of us that have a passion, I'm writing a book, my fifth book, and I'm talking about everybody that has a passion. Most likely that passion came because of pain.
Okay.
If you think of why you do what you do, like you're a great professor, one of my great professors in my life. But as I talk to you and know about your story, a lot of your passion came from pain.
You're right. You are absolutely right about that. And pain isn't something that we like to talk about or experience, but it is necessary. Yes, yeah, yeah. So what I'm hearing you say, that necessary pain is going to help me along the way if I endure it and go through what I'm supposed to go through and learn from it.
Well, so you have to redefine pain. You have to redefine why did God allow me to go through this. And so what am I going to do with this? That whatever your this is, you have to say, what am I going to do with this? When people talk to me everywhere I go, anywhere in the world, everybody always want to know one question. How did you get that kind of passion? And so when I tell them the story of what I've been through, that could have crippled me. Mr. Mack, that could have crippled me. The stuff that I've been through as a child, as a young adult, as even an adult, it could have crippled me to just sit down and be afraid of the world. But the challenge is, how do I take this pain and turn it into passion to help somebody else? Then it becomes so powerful. And that when you're actually fulfilling that is when you lift your hands and say, God, I thank you for what I've been through, because what I've been through has helped me to find my passion.
What I've been
through. You
through.
don't want to die without fulfilling your passion.
Yes, yes. And oftentimes people do that. And then there's some people who are dead, but they're still alive.
Yeah.
They are still alive. However, what this thing that they're going through, they're just existing, not walking in their gift and medicating themselves, making excuses why they didn't accomplish something, or they're against me. I don't know, and yet they're walking around on fumes,
Yeah.
just totally exhausted, ready to give up on life. And the whole thing is they didn't know where they fit in. They didn't know that, number one, you belong, even though somebody's telling you you don't belong. The world
Right.
might be telling that, but you do. But I heard you say about that pain, redefining that pain, and realizing that sometimes, the analogy that I heard, recently, was the idea of, of working out, and that pain you feel if you haven't worked out in a long time, and after that first workout that you go through, your body may start to feel a little pain. And that pain, those muscles are letting you know that, hey, you haven't used us in a while. We're here. But we're a little sore right now. And what do most people do? They stop because they feel the pain. Man, I can't do that no more. But not realizing that they go through the pain and work through the pain, they're going to grow. They're going to get stronger. They're going to get, whatever it is they're getting. Because part of getting in shape is those first, if you can survive the first 3 or 4 weeks, then you can make it. But at the end of the day, that is part of that journey. Can you speak to some of that as well?
The most dangerous person in the world is a person that don't know their purpose. So if you don't know your purpose, then you have nothing to strive towards. When Jesus, and I don't mean to be preachy, but I'm a preacher.
Go ahead, handle it.
When they came to Jesus and asked Jesus to do certain things, Jesus said something so profound. Jesus says, "For this cause I came into the world." So Jesus didn't let people pull him out of his purpose. And what I find when you talk about something, I belong. It's one of the most profound statements you can make, because the thing about it is, a person can never be able to say that if they don't understand their purpose.
Right.
And your purpose is only good for. Can I give another quick analogy?
Sure, absolutely.
So I was over in Jamaica many years ago preaching, and so on the side of the road they had these guys selling these coconuts. And so when you go to the side of the road, they'll cut the top off, put a straw in it, and you suck that milk out. And a doctor told me over there, he says the reason why people don't have high blood pressure problems in Jamaica is because they drink this water every day in the coconut. And so me being a fixer, I think, my God, I need to take a bunch of these coconuts home. But here's what he said to me. He said the milk is only good for a certain time. So to bring those coconuts home, the milk inside was spoiled, right?
Right.
And so there's only a certain amount of time that every person has to figure out, what is my purpose? And so if a person don't figure out their purpose, that's the most dangerous person in the world, because if you don't know your purpose, then you start doing a bunch of dumb stuff that will destroy your life. Oh. And most of your purpose is birthed out of some type of painful situation.
Yes.
And so that's why you can't afford to just sit down. All of us made mistakes. All of us had failures. Like, my story, Mr. Mack. I dropped out of school when I was 16. So then I turned 60 years old, and my doctor says to me, if you're going to retire good, you're going to have to go do something you said you never do. The only thing I can think of that I never did, I traveled all over the world, did a whole bunch of amazing things, been on some of the best trips, been on some of the best cruises, the best countries, all that kind of beauty and stuff like that. Said, well, I need to go. She said, you need to go to school. So when I went and enrolled in college, I cried. You remember, I used to cry because it was too tough. And I told one of my professors, last time I was in school, we had manual typewriters. We had not even electric, manual typewriters. And here I am now, an older man, and I have a computer in my hand. I couldn't keep up. But you refused to let me quit, right? And so thank God for that, because then I would be miserable, not fulfilling my purpose. And here I am, and I used to tell you, I only want 1 degree. I only want 1 degree. But guess what? Once I begin to exercise those muscles, not only did I get 2 degrees from CPCC, now I'm in seminary. After all of these years, to me that's crazy even saying it. And that's what people do. They go through something, they go through a horrible situation, and then what they feel they need to do is they need to be bitter at people, mad at the people that came against them, did what they did to them. And so they sit on that, and they live the rest of their life not fulfilling their purpose. And that is the problem, in my opinion.
Oh, boy, you just dropped major nuggets there. Boy, that suitcase is packed. Let me see if I can unpack some of that. Because I love what you said when you were talking about the idea of you came scared and felt like you couldn't do it, and I don't belong here, and you had tears. So sometimes in the process of you finding your purpose or finding that you belong or where you belong, there might be some tears.
Absolutely.
That there may be some feelings of inadequacy, and I can't do this. It's kind of like, what did Peter say? I can't walk on water. In the natural, he in his mind, he said he couldn't. But I love the idea you said you came thinking I'm gonna get 1 degree, and then as a matter of fact, I told you, and you're right. I didn't let you go because I saw something in you. I saw the drive. I saw it when you the first week we spoke. I knew. I said, man, there's something about it. And then you kept saying, well, I don't know, these young people, I can't do this kind of stuff. But the moment, I would say by the end of your first semester, when you said it helped you being around the young folk, you said these young people, they got a lot. And you impacted the lives of a lot of these young people. And you began to, because you were exposed to the environment, your confidence grew. So sometimes I believe it's important that we got to be in the right environment to help us realize that we do belong. Because if I hang around the negative people that say I don't belong, guess what starts to happen? I start believing them. So can you speak to that part about the environment to helping people clear that picture of their ability to belong?
Yes. One of my spiritual daughters in Virginia Beach, she called me last week, I guess it was, and she said something so powerful to me that her pastor said to her, and this is one of my new phrases that I'm using this year. She said her pastor always tell people, it takes courage to do and create the environment for you to grow. And he said, and he was teaching a message, he said sometimes people are afraid. But his saying was, this is my saying for this year, do it afraid.
Right.
Do it afraid. Yes, it's scary, but do it afraid. And any of us that accomplish something, we have to do it afraid. Because environment is important. And here's one of the sayings. I have a bunch of sayings. One of the things that I often tell people is whoever has your ear has your destiny. Whoever you make a decision based on what they say to you, that is who controls your destiny. So then creating an environment, it's going to take courage to be around somebody who's not going to let you quit. Because there was people that I could have went to when I was terrified of school, coming back to college, and when I was just afraid and crying. As a matter of fact, I had one of my doctors said to me, you just need to drop that because you don't really need that. You're retired now. If I would have listened to her, then I would have quit school because I'm not going to get a job. I'm not going to better my life. But the thing about it is you have to be careful who you listen to. You got to be careful who has your ear. And if you don't have anybody that can speak to where you're going, you need to find somebody who can speak to where you're going, even if you got to pay them. The Bible talks about buying wisdom, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you got to be around people that you have to pay them to not let you quit, because you can't depend on yourself. because it takes a lot of courage, mostly courage, to say, this is what I feel like I'm called to do, and I want to go after this, but I don't know how. So I need to be around somebody who's not going to take my my crying or my being afraid and gonna say, no, I'm not gonna let you quit. You and Dr. T and Miss Johnson, y'all wouldn't let me quit. And so who would have thought this kid that dropped out of school when he was 16 ended up getting 2 degrees with honors and on the president's list? That to me is crazy. But I had somebody that I trusted to not let me quit. And a lot of people that's listening to this program, the reason why you keep quitting is because you have the wrong people in your ear. I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brothers, your best friend. Sometimes you got to shut them out and find somebody to say, we're not letting you quit now. Get back in that ring and fight it out.
Yes, you are so right about that, because there's so many people that I have come across in the years as an educator and sharing information and presenting, and they come and telling me their story of how they almost quit. But then they met somebody, or they got into an environment, or somebody that believed in them, spoke a word over them about hey, you can do this. I see it in you. And they changed their environment. They got around the positive people. And even though it was painful, it was like cried in tears. And you said the investment into yourself, because there's so many people that need to invest in themselves and make sure that they don't be afraid of making a mistake. And they have to go in and make the investment and pay for training sometimes to help you become your best. Because if you don't invest in yourself, you don't plant a seed, how do you get a harvest? It's important that you got to really do what you got to do so you can do what you want to do. And know that you do belong, that the person you see in the mirror is a winner, not somebody who made excuses. They made moves. Because it's hard to do better, to make moves and excuses at the same time. Excuses are reasons to fail. And you see yourself, I guess, changing that language and know that you belong. And I love what you said, that you got to be around people that won't allow you to quit. Quitting is not an option. And I just love that idea here. And like you said, many people who are listening, they've been around in the wrong environment. I call it this way. It's hard. I don't want to fish in the septic tank. See, don't drop your line in the septic tank.
I got to write that down. I don't want to fish in a septic tank.
I don't want nothing in the septic tank, okay? End of the day, that's why you want to put your line on the right side of the boat and in the right ocean, because there's so many people who say they don't belong because they've been hearing people tell them they don't belong. They've been on the wrong side for so long, and they don't see any goodness, and they just existing, going through their life and just making excuses why I didn't make it. And I said, my mama told me I was a black sheep of the family, or why can't you be like your brother? And no, I'm not my brother, but I belong in this arena. You trying to put me in another arena. And that's a key thing, I think, making sure that you're in the right place at the right time, meeting the right person, getting the right intern. Hey, sometimes doing an internship, you got to volunteer sometimes to put you in an area to meet the right people. And that is so important. And I think we need to let people know that, listen, because you may have stumbled one time, it doesn't mean that you're going to be stumbling forever. Look in the mirror, and people are on jobs right now, and they are on the wrong job. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary on that job, and they've been hating that job for 15 years. But they're there because, well, I don't know, that's not really what they really want. But they're just there because, well, everybody else doing, I got these bills to pay, but they hate the job. and coming in there. And so we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Your body is the most advanced operating system in the world. Every day, trillions of cells run millions of processes at once. Over time, it can start to slow down due to stress, poor sleep, diet, environmental stressors. It can feel overwhelming. Suddenly, you feel the lag. Brain fog, low energy, poor digestion, slower recovery. That's your system struggling to keep up. What if, instead, you could give yourself an edge to tackle what the day has in store? From the creators of the world's most powerful activation products comes Healthy Edge. Healthy Edge starts with Protandim NRF2 Synergizer. It reduces oxidative stress by up to 40% in 30 days by activating your natural cellular defense system to help your body make its own antioxidants that are 1,000,000 times more powerful than any you could ever take. The other half of Healthy Edge is P84. Using the right amount of whole food ingredients, probiotics, prebiotics, postbiotics, and digestive enzymes, P84 activates the master peptides in your gut that help regulate, repair, and restore balance, going beyond supplementation. On their own, each activator is powerful. Together, they help you feel unstoppable. NRF2 Synergizer is your defense. P84 is your offense. And when they work as one, you don't just keep up, you stay ahead of everything life throws your way. Want to level up your activation? Check out our other activator products and learn about sharing these life-changing products to start a healthy side business. Take back your day with Healthy Edge.
To learn more about Healthy Edge, simply go to MauriceMcDonald.net. That's MauriceMcDonald.net. Again, MauriceMcDonald.net to learn about the Healthy Edge and take back your day. Okay, we're back. We're back, guys, here for It's About You radio show here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. I'm Maurice McDonald, and you have a guest in here in the studio with me today, Bishop Tony Hall. And on the first session, if you missed it, man, we just talked about, you belong, and how stop letting people tell you that you don't belong. Stop telling yourself you don't belong. Go within yourself and tell yourself, yes, I can do this. We talked about doing it scared. There are things in life you want to do and you are fearful, or there may be pain for it. Bishop Hall talks about most of the things that you have accomplished and go through. There was a pain attached to it. But guess what? You get through the pain, you get through the fear, you get through the tears, and you'll be okay. You keep going. The other side, there's some growing pain with it, knowing that you belong. I said there are many people on jobs right now. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary or 10th anniversary on their job, and they are unhappy with the job. And sometimes you got to find happiness right where you are, because the grass always looks green on the other side. Find the fact that you, as my grandmother said, the grass is green on the other side, but if you fertilize it, it'll be green too. So changing the attitude about where you belong, because sometimes you may be on that job for a season, and sometimes you need to meet somebody who can network with you to get you to some other place. But your attitude has to be right. Bishop Hall, what are some of your thoughts about what I said about the attitude and your belonging?
Well, the attitude is very important because of why you do what you do. I was telling you about the book that I'm writing to release next year on our 50th wedding anniversary. And so one of the chapters I'm writing about is how to develop a passion. And so I begin to ask people how tell me your story, because everybody has a story. And so I asked my doctor, my medical doctor, it takes months to get into him, to get to see him or whatever. Like, it takes months to make an appointment with him. But anytime that I've ever had a problem, he gets me right in. So I asked him one day, what is your story, how you gained such passion? And he told me the story about when he was a kid, he wanted to be an archaeologist. He wanted to be an archaeologist because he loved dinosaurs and everything like that. So when he was a young kid, he wanted to go to school to become an archaeologist. Well, his father died when he was like 11 years old. And so his mother started falling down when he turned 14 years old. She had a brain tumor. To make the story short, she had a brain tumor on her brain, and so he was very terrified because he said, "I lost my dad. Now I'm about to lose my mom." And one of the doctors in the clinic came to him and says, "I know you don't have any insurance. I know you're afraid. I'm going to take care of everything." So he put his mom in the hospital, got the surgery done, paid for her recovery and everything like that. And this doctor, he didn't have to do that. And that is how my doctor became the doctor that he is now. He takes good care of his patients. Patients wait for hours to see him, and because there's a story behind it, right? And so the thing about it, those of us that's gone through what we've gone through, you have to understand that God had something, allowed something in your life, and what are you going to do with that thing? But it's going to take courage to say, well, this is not the thing. Let me try something else. And the sooner you can do it, the better. You don't want to wait till you get old before you try to shift into something different. You need to, the better time is when you're young, but any time that you're alive, you need to be trying to search for what is that thing? What is that thing? For me, it was going back to college. It gave me confidence that I never knew. And I'm a pretty confident guy, preached all over the world. People know my name, but there was something missing in my life. And so you got to find out what that missing thing is. Nobody can find out about your missing thing but you. So don't put pressure on other people to tell you what you should be doing. You have to find that thing and then find somebody who does it well and say to them, I don't know what I'm doing. Will you help me do? And most people, Mr. Mack, they love people that they can tell what they do well.
Yes.
But it's going to take courage to be able to say, I don't know what I'm doing. And I do that in a minute now. I'll just say, I don't have to know everything. I just got to know people that know stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens, because your voice, it matters only a certain period of time, and especially after you're gone. So I know you wanted to go into that, but I'll just leave it like that. You got to find out your passion.
Yes, and explore that.
Pursue it.
And
you got to pursue that.
Yeah, and also I think along that same line is discovering how you belong and where you belong and why you belong. You have to be able to take constructive criticism. You got to know your why you're doing it, and then also people. A lot of times people don't like constructive criticism. They're realizing that with somebody to help you fine tune what they say, iron sharpening iron, right? Being able to have that mentor to help you, to point you to your areas for growth. Because I never call them weaknesses. I had a mentor many years ago. It's been 30 years ago. Said to me, "We have strengths, but we have some areas for growth." And as long as you view it as areas for growth, once I discovered it can help me to know that I do belong. I get my confidence back, or I get my confidence for the first time, and I can step into a whole new area, and with the good people supporting me, as opposed to the people that I've been hanging with, because it's kind of like this too. I think this is a key point. I know in the substance abuse area, when we teach at the college in the addiction recovery program, we teach that the clients have to new faces and new places. You can't hang with the same people you used to hang with. I can't go to the same places, because guess what? I'm a relapse. And I'll go back to the old life. And so when you start looking to belong, you got to swim in a different pool. And so, yeah. So what are your thoughts about some of those lines or things I just shared?
Well, I think that's very important, because you have to, listen, you have to be willing sometimes to outgrow where you come from. So where you come from doesn't mean where you're going to be forever. And I'm a witness to that. I feel like I was my father's worst kid, because I was always into something. And so But the thing about it is, I look at where I am now. All of my brothers that was like the goody two shoes. I've had to bury four of my brothers, and so there's three of us left, and I'm touching the world. And so the reason why, as I look back in my life, another chapter that I'm doing, I'm looking at all the people that influenced me, and the people that had the greatest influence of me, they never was what I wanted them to be, but as I got older now, is what I needed to be. And some people you're gonna have to outgrow the people that you're around, because people can only tell you where they are. But that inner dream that you have, or that inner vision, or that inner understanding of your purpose, nobody can tell you what that's exactly like but you. Because no matter how successful you become, Mr. Mack, it never looks like what it was when you dreamed of it. So people say, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. So when they get there, they find out it's not like what they thought it would be. And so the ride, or the process in getting to that place, is a very important one for every person. So that person, that if you feel like you have a dream that you're going somewhere, you have to be around people that is either going that way, or the greatest person to be around is people that have accomplished that.
Right.
Like you're talking to me today, I call him the marvelous Mr. McDonald, who I thought would just walked on water. He's talking to me about something, but he was the one that helped create what I have become. So I can listen to Mr. McDonald. There's some people that I just won't listen to. I'll love them. It doesn't mean that I stop loving them, but I can't listen to them, because guess what? They are what I used to be. They're not what I am now.
Yes.
So you have to move. You have to move in. You have to move in season, and you have to move in season, and in the ability to be able to have people that speak into your life that has been there, or has gone through the process, because every process is different. So your process may be different from mine, but at least you know the bumps in the road that's going on when you go through the process. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, that made a lot of sense. You are so spot on, because oftentimes, we're talking to the wrong people. Oh, like I said, coming out of that circle you used to be in. I know, and having so many students over the years who come from all different walks of life, from people who have been incarcerated and addiction, or incarcerated and addiction, and the idea that they themselves had been part of gangs and all kinds of things. Women, they were dancing on the poles, and prostitution, all the things over the past, 15 years as an educator at the college level. One thing I have come across, people from all walks of life, where life had beat them down. They saw no hope, and they came to school, broken and with excuses and just life. And my point within talking to them, within 30 minutes or so, find out what your why is. And now to watch them grow, getting from a GED to a PhD over a 12-year journey, and with amazing stories of setbacks and all kinds of stuff. And the idea coming in that I was rough around the edges, and I was incarcerated for 15 years, and family, I got kids, nobody wanted me to be around. I was called the Santa Claus daddy, because I only came by once a year giving presents. And I thought I was father of the year. My ex-wife didn't like me. Lots of stories. And then I watched them go across the stage, reinvented. They repositioned themselves. They didn't start over. They repositioned themselves. They got their mind right and that journey. And now they belong, because they kept talking about their past. Now they belong. This is what they wanted all along, but it's a journey to get there. and they had to reinvent themselves. And like you said, and that was pain. I heard the pain. I heard them cry. I heard them, they sat in my office a couple of times. I referred them to the counseling center, and that journey. That's why graduation day, when they go across the stage, like when you went across the stage and the first person to come out, I mean, I was smiling like, man, because I know your story and you've been a blessing to a lot of people in that journey, and you're going to be a more and more blessing. But I think the key thing is that I think you hit right on it, that you got to grow through whatever you got to go through. Growth should be a part of that process, but know that you do belong, but it's not an overnight journey. Speak to some of that part, if you would, about the journey itself.
Number one, you can't let your past define you. You can't let your past define you. Your past is not who you're gonna die to be. That's something that has to be in you. So the journey is important because you can't let your past define you. I remember when I wrote my first book 13 years ago. I had been counseling this couple, did premarital counseling for this couple, and this woman was just so amazed by the wisdom that she felt like I had. She said, "You need to put this stuff in the book." So I always use the excuse, "Well, I only have a GED, so I'm not smart enough to write a book." And so every time I would see her, she would tell me, I would tell her that. So she and her new husband invited us for dinner. She says, "I'm going to put an end to you making that stupid confession. And in your head, it may sound good, but to everybody else, it may." So she said, "I'm going to help you write your first book. I'm not going to charge you, but I am not going to let you quit. You're not quitting anymore." And it was painful to write that first book. I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, write on it. Then she'll send me some notes over. You need to address this, make it more clear, whatever like that. And when I got my first book with my picture on the front cover, I cried. I couldn't believe it. And when I read it, and people come to me and said, that book was amazing and stuff like that. So now I'm on number 5. But the process was important. Don't let your past define you. You can't let your past define you. Because if you let your past define you, the journey is over. The journey is over. But listen, you have to have the courage to be able to find somebody to say, "Listen, this is the process, how you start." And then you have to get in your mind, what does that look like once I achieve that? You have to write that down. I have on my board here in my office a whiteboard here, and I put down different landmarks that I want to achieve. Most of them look impossible. If you have a dream that you can achieve, you're probably not dreaming big enough. You have to dream of something that you said you'd never be able to achieve. I have written down, I wrote down that I am not going to stop school until I get my doctorate degree. Can you imagine how crazy that is? To go from a GED, drop out of high school, got married young, and so I am putting on my board, I am going to stay in school until I walk across the stage and receive my doctorate degree. But that is what every person has to do. If you're going to be engaged in your life of where you want to go to, then you have to get out of your mind where you come from. Your past doesn't define you. My past doesn't define me, that I was a high school dropout and on drugs and got my girlfriend pregnant and got married to her and was unstable and couldn't work on jobs because that didn't pay me enough, all that kind of stuff. I did not let my past define me. But I have to have a goal of what I want to achieve, because here is the part that me and you talked about before we came back on. I am looking at what's going to define me in my great-grandkids. I probably won't be here to see it, but I want my great-grandkids to say of their great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather, he was a man that had courage, who got back up in spite of all the obstacles and worked like crazy to achieve something, especially because he didn't have to. I don't have to go to school another day in order to be taken care of for the rest of my life, Mr. Mack. But the thing about it is you've got to keep something in front of you for generations. I have 9 great grandkids. That's crazy. I have 9 great grandkids. But I want them to be able to say, if they never even get to know me, I want them to be able to say, my great grandfather, he screwed up in his younger life, but look at what he's accomplished.
Yes.
But you got to have a goal. In order to have a journey, you got to have a goal. Last point. When I'm getting ready to go travel somewhere, I can put in my phone where I'm trying to get to. And my GPS that I have, sometimes there's an accident up the road, and they give me a detour I can take in order to get there in a better time. That's the way your life has to become if you're going to get back into it. If you're going to belong, the belonging has to be to you first. And if you can get a few people that believe in that, then you have won the lottery.
Yes, that is so true. Man, I tell you what, I just know that my listeners are being blessed by this, because you're resonating with me, and I'm sure you're resonating with some of them too as well. This idea that you do belong and go through whatever it is you got to do. But it sounds a little bit too like, what are your thoughts along the feelings of how does feeling like you belong affect mental and emotional health, you think, when somebody got that?
It's everything. As the Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And the powerful thing is the power of words. That's the way God created the world. He created the world through words. You have to find somebody who you can share your vision with, and they say, keep going. Keep going. The great Muhammad Ali, when he wrote his book, he said the reason why he won so many fights, when he walked into the ring, he looked at his opponent and he was terrified. But he had people in his corner that kept telling him, "Oh, you can whip him. You can whip him." Inside him, he didn't feel like it, but he had people in his corner. No matter how it looked every round, he always had him. "Oh no, you can whoop this. You can whoop this." And guess what? It gave him the courage to do it. And so you have to find somebody that, and you may have to find a professor. You may have to find somebody in ministry. You may have to find somebody that has achieved something. Tell them what your dream is, and then give them permission that when you're getting away from the dream, they need to send you back into the ring. When I was a kid, Mr. Mack, I was a little scrawny kid. You wouldn't believe it now if you seen me, but I was a little scrawny kid. And so I was always coming home crying. I was always coming because somebody was beating on me all the time. So my 3 brothers, they said, okay, we're going to teach you how to fight. So they took me outside, and all 3 of them stood, and they said, now, when I count to 3, I need you to find out who's punching you. And 3 people punching at me at the same time, and because I hated pain, I had to stop those fists coming at me, and that gave me courage. If I can deal with 6 fists coming at me at the same time, then one person that's standing in front of me, I can deal with that. Yeah. And you have to find somebody that gives them permission that when you start waning away from what you feel like your purpose is, they can speak to you until you get back in that ring. I know it hurts. Get back in the ring. I know you felt that subject, but guess what? Take the class again. I remember the sociology class. I took that class and failed it. And I hated it so much, but I had an advisor that says, no, you're going to take this over again. You have too much greatness in you that you can't pass it. And then she said something to me that blew my. She said, all you need is a D to pass it. And I wasn't going to school to get a D, so I ended up passing it with high numbers because somebody said, no, you're going to get back in there and pass this class. And every one of us that have a dream, you've got to have somebody say, get back in there. Get back in there. No, you're better than this. Get back in there. Because those words are powerful. And you got to have somebody that will say it to you.
Very much so. So sounds like you're talking about having that mentor. And that mentor is not going to tickle your ears. The mentor is not going to agree with everything you're saying. The mentor is going to challenge you. I always say, if you get a pair of pants that has elastic in the waist, when you first buy them, they're strong. The elastic is strong. When it gets older and once that is stretched, it doesn't fit like it used to. It's going to drop off. So oftentimes we get stretched. We need to be stretched to belong, because my comfort zone is my broke zone, and that's not necessarily money. That comfort zone, you don't belong because you're comfortable. And this is why I don't know if I were you, and you got people telling you, man, if I were you, ain't no way in the world I go back to school. Are you working 2 jobs and going to school and you got kids? If I were you, first and foremost, you're not me. So new faces, new places, like I said before, new attitude, because I know I belong in this arena. I know I was created for this. I was created for greatness. How do you know? Because as Les Brown always says too, the day you were born, you came out a winner, because out of 50,000 sperm cells that didn't make it, you did. And so it doesn't matter what anybody says, doesn't matter what you get. You got knocked down, you get back up. See, it takes courage to get back up, because everybody gonna get knocked down. The greatest fighters in the world have been knocked down. But many of them, there have been stories of them getting up and knocking the other person out in the same round. So sometimes you get hit. It's okay to get hit. It's how you respond. And stop telling yourself, I don't belong. I failed the first time. I failed that test the first time. Guess what? It is second time, the third time, the fourth time, whatever it takes. Get back on the horse. Continue to ride the bicycle. The training wheels are there for a purpose. But get back on, get up, get knocked down. But the key thing is get back up. Get back up and say, okay, is that all you got? Surely you got more than that, because I'm still standing, and that mindset will help you to belong. That's why I love the non-traditional students. Every non-traditional student across America or anywhere in the world, someone over 40 years of age going back to school, and they hadn't been in years, they're going with life experience and fear and families and debt and doubt and whatever else. And sometimes they're going against the grain because people don't believe in you. But you're here and you know that you belong. And that part, I think, is what I wanted to get this across to people, to let them know that, yes, you do belong. You got this. And you're going to come out on top regardless of whatever happens. Hey, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
As the years go by, the toll of time, the environment, and your daily choices add up. You see it in the mirror. You feel it throughout the day. Most turn to supplements to fill the voids left by modern life. But the truth is, supplements meet basic needs, but often fall short when it comes to restoring true cellular health. The answer to true wellness goes beyond supplementation. It lies within your cells, locked within your DNA. All you have to do is activate it. Born from 40 years of groundbreaking research, LifeVantage is the activation company. And as the authority in nutrigenomics, LifeVantage is leading the charge in cellular activation. Key ingredients in each formula are selected based on science that shows they can unlock your genes and the health coded within, optimizing cellular function just as nature intended. From the original discovery, which activates genes that reawaken your cellular defense system and reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days, to the first of its kind collagen activator that increases collagen density by 100%, and the MindBody GLP-1 system, two powerful products that naturally activate GLP-1 to support habit change, mindful eating, and the foundation for lasting change. LifeVantage has pioneered a better approach to wellness that works with your biology, minimizing the impact of age and lifestyle choices, empowering you to live healthier, longer through the transformative power of activation. Turn back the clock. Reignite your body. Live life activated.
To learn more about your gut health and how to activate your body, go to MauriceMcDonald.net. That's MauriceMcDonald.net and learn all about activating your body, your gut health, with 84 fruits and vegetables organically grown all over the world. Again, MauriceMcDonald.net, MauriceMcDonald, and unlock your potential today. We're back, guys, here on the It's About You radio show, WDRB Media, voice of the community. And we've been talking about belonging. My amazing guest today has been Bishop Tony Hall. We've been talking about belonging. So in the time we have left, Bishop, if you would go ahead and share what you wanted to share.
I want to talk for a couple of minutes that we have left about through the lens of a mentor, because I've heard you say it several times today about mentors. And so let's talk about what through the eyes of a mentor. Number one, a good mentor, always I wonder why somebody would choose them. So they don't have this big self-confidence. I have medical doctors and dentists and pastors, very wealthy people that, and I'm always shocked when they say, "You're my mentor." I'm really shocked. I even had people that have a doctorate degrees, but they consider me their mentor. And so those of us that are mentor, we're always amazed by that. And so the thing about it, through the eyes of a mentor, you may be afraid, but we're afraid too. Not afraid not to do something, but we're kind of, because none of us see ourselves as that. Whatever you become, you never see yourself as that. You never see yourself as that. You know it's true that you're that, but you never see yourself as that. So the thing, one of the questions I was asked, what can a person do today? Here's what a person can do today. A person can develop their story, develop what they want to see. That's the first thing you got to do. Because if you're all over the place and you had several dreams, you're probably not going to accomplish any of them. You need to fulfill one dream at a time. One dream at a time. Now, it may be several things or several classes or several things you got to take, but you got to have the goal of one thing. One thing. I need to know about one thing that I can do well. So you need to develop that. Before you find a mentor, you have to be able to tell that mentor what that one thing is. And some people are just wired to think of several things. You got to think of one thing. You got to think of one thing. One thing you want to accomplish. And then that's when you begin to either pray or look for a mentor. Because when you find a mentor, you need to have a concise story of what you want to see. Concise. You can't say, well, I want to be a fisherman, but I also want to be a builder, and I also want to be a guy that has a radio show, but I also want to be a professor. No, you'll probably not accomplish anything like that. So you got to get one thing. You got to accomplish one thing at a time. Even though I've done a lot of things, based on what I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to do one thing well. Because I have age on me now, so I don't have the energy, have less time in front of me than behind me. So I'm only trying to accomplish one thing. And as you find a mentor, that sometimes they just may be a friend, but not a mentor. And you will know that. You'll know that because that internal thing that you have in your internal spirit will let you know, this may be a friend, but not my mentor. And I think that's what's important, Mr. Mack, is finding somebody who can speak to what you may have to go volunteer somewhere. It's like you want to be a builder, and you're working a full-time job, but you have a little spare time. Find a builder or something that you can just go volunteer time and let them know up front. I want to do what you do, so I just want to volunteer some time. I want to learn what you know. And I'll tell you something, that will change the game. You will be a game changer when you find out what somebody does well and then have a goal of that's what you want to do.
Oh, that is so. You dropped a bunch of nuggets there, and it's important to have a mentor. And they're not going to tickle your ears. They're going to challenge you. They're going to hold you accountable. They may test you to see how serious you really are. And I think that is so key to learning to help people know that they do belong, because you do belong. And don't let anybody tell you you don't, including you, including yourself. Don't walk down that road of, I can't make it. I can't, you don't know where I'm the black sheep of the family. I'm not the smartest one in my class, and all those things of self-doubt. So with that said, listen, it's been amazing as usual having you on the show today. Time goes by so fast when we get together, but I think it's valuable time that we can learn. Hey guys, listen, I want you to come back next week, same time, every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on WDRB Media, the voice of the community, for the It's About You radio show. Follow me on Instagram, ladies and gentlemen, at Maurice McDonald 51. You can see me there, or go to my YouTube channel, the It's About You radio show. You'll see me there on YouTube as well. You can email me. Go to mauricemcdonald.net and learn all about your amazing gut health. With that said, we will see you all next week, because we're going to be in the building.